Hello and welcome back, friends. Today we're diving into the July Sonnet's Curated Makers Box. Every month, the Curated Makers Box comes with 2 exclusive decoupage papers from Roycycled Treasures, 2 rice papers from the Painted Photographer, 2 DIY paint colors, 2 Fusion Mineral Paint colors, 1 Sweet Pickins Milk Paint, and a napkin. Sonnet now includes access to her very own digital designs every month in the digital press. In today's video, we're taking 3 DIY projects from ordinary to wow. I'll show you how to create a charming tiered tray shelf sitter using the Painted Photographer's exclusive rice paper. A vintage mid-century inspired cutting board from our CnC DIY Factory website, paired with the napkin from the Maker's Box and some IOD molds. And finally, a distressed crate makeover with Roycycled Treasures exclusive decoupage paper, the perfect storage piece that adds charm to your decor. I'm Cindy, my husband is Chris. Welcome to CnC DIY Factory. We hope you are inspired and you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. In Project 1, we are taking a scrap piece of wood from our shop and the Fusion Mineral Paint in soapstone that is included in the box. I'm painting all 4 edges of the piece of wood with 1 coat of paint. Once the edges are dry, I will paint both sides of the block with 1 coat of the DIY paint in vintage linen. Now this is the first time I've used this color and it is a beautiful creamy white. The Painted Photographer always creates a 3-up rice paper. This is perfect for creating small decor pieces, and I will be using the 2 3x5 images for the front and the back of this shelf sitter. Now my go-to for decoupaging has always been the DIY liquid patina, but here lately I have been trying the Fusion decoupage and transfer gel with the rice papers. The gel is a thicker consistency and I have found it takes less product to adhere the paper to my project, and it smooths out very nicely. Once both sides of the block are decoupaged, I'll add a coat of the Fusion decoupage and transfer gel over the rice paper to seal it in. Now at this point with the rice paper, you could go the extra step before sealing it in and watercolor this image to add your own personal coloring. But I love this sketch look, and for this project, I'm leaving it as it is and sealing it in. Once that's dry, I'll quickly take my finger sander and sand off all the excess paper. To help blend the edges of the block, I am using a stencil brush and the Soapstone Fusion Mineral Paint to lightly dry brush around both sides of the block. This creates a distressed border look that just kind of finishes off the piece. So we took a scrap block of wood and some beautiful exclusive rice paper and created a quick and easy accent for any style of decor that will fit on a tiered tray, a shelf, or in a vignette. Let me know what you are inspired to make with this rice paper. For Project 2, I am using one of our 4 different designs of the laser cut standing cutting board with kickstand and clip DIY kit that can be found on our website cncdiyfactory.com. This is the vintage paddle design and it is perfect for the mid-century modern look of the napkin from this month's box. I am painting the front and back of all of the pieces of this DIY kit with 1 coat of limestone Fusion Mineral Paint. To decoupage a napkin, my favorite technique is using Mod Podge and an iron. The napkins are so fragile that when they get wet, they wrinkle and tear very easily, and I have found that this technique works the best for me. I will apply 2 coats of the Mod Podge, drawing thoroughly between coats and applying it in opposite directions for each coat to ensure that I have the entire surface covered. Napkins have multiple plies or layers to them, and we only want to use the top layer of the napkin. Once I have just the top layer, I situate it on my cutting board where I want it, then I lay a piece of parchment paper over the top to keep from scorching my napkin. Then I use my craft iron with no steam and iron the napkin to my surface. As long as you have the napkin laying flat, it turns out beautifully every time. Then I simply use my finger sander and sand off the excess napkin. At this point, the napkin is still delicate, so I will use my Wise Owl varnish in matte finish and seal the napkin to my board. You can use any type of brush-on sealer that you choose. When I'm working with fast cast resin, I usually mix more than what I need for a specific project. So I had some precast IOD molds in my stash that I thought would work perfectly with this cutting board. I have other videos showing how to use the fast cast resin if you want to see how that is done, and I can link them in the description box below. I'm using various colors of fusion mineral paint that I have from previous maker's boxes and painting the molds to complement the colors in the napkin. Now that all of the molds are painted, it's time to assemble the kickstand. Each DIY kit on our website that have kickstands have detailed instructions showing you how to assemble each step, and you can always refer back to one of my videos to see how it's done. I use Titebond Quick and Thick and Stick Fast CA glue to adhere the pieces. This standing cutting board is not only a decor piece, but it's functional as well. Each of these kits comes with a clip that you can add to the board to hold recipes, pictures, or other ephemera. I like to use a small crafting drill and pre-drill a hole for the screw. This helps me to ensure that I have it in the exact spot that I want it. I love this little crafting drill, and if you want one for your toolbox, I will have this in my affiliate links in the description box below. Now that I have the clip right where I want it, I will use the Titebond Quick and Thick to add the molds all around the front of the cutting board. But wait, I'm not done. I want to create a piece of ephemera to add to this cutting board. I have the IOD Milo pages transfer set, and I found a few transfers that could work with this napkin. So I cut out a few to see what I like, and I also have a piece of an old book page. I'll tear this down to about the size that I want and figure out my placement. But something is missing. So I turned to my IOD stamps and I pulled out the pastiche stamp that has the perfect fern image for my background. I am using the IOD ink in black to stamp the fern onto my book page, and then I'll tear it down a little bit more to fit the moth from the transfer set. Once the ink is dry, I will pull the white backer sheet off the transfer and place it on the paper. I thought this would be a quick transfer, but the paper created a bit of a challenge to transfer the image. I finally succeeded, and it looks beautiful. Now to give the paper a bit more age around the edges. I'm using a makeup brush and some Tim Holtz ink in tea dye and rubbing the ink around the edges to create that aged appearance. I will finish this with a quick coat of the Wise Owl varnish in matte, and we will have a beautiful piece of handmade, mid-century modern inspired decor. For our third and final project today, I am taking an old crate that I use for storage along with the Sweet Pickins milk paint in flour sack that was in the maker's box. The milk paint is a 1-to-1 ratio of powder to water, and I am using 3 scoops of paint to 3 scoops of warm water. I find the warm water tends to mix better than a room temperature water, and I'm also using a milk frother to mix the paint. You can use a craft stick or a small whisk to mix the paint, but I find that the milk frother makes the paint super smooth. Once the milk paint has set for about 10 minutes to thicken up, I'll use a chip brush and apply 2 coats of the milk paint to the inside of the crate, and I'll use my heat gun between coats to try to force the milk paint to crackle and craze. On the outside of the crate, I'm going to decoupage the exclusive decoupage paper called Faded Botanica by Roycycled Treasures. I will apply the paper to both ends of the crate using the DIY liquid patina. This is my favorite decoupage medium to use with these decoupage papers. As with most of my decoupage projects, I will start with a starter strip on one end and apply an even layer of the liquid patina. Then I'll spritz my paper to relax the fibers and smooth it down with my paintbrush. Then I will flip my piece around and continue to apply the decoupage paper. And once I have the entire piece down, I will go back over it with another coat of the liquid patina to seal it in. And after the paper has completely dried, I will use my finger sander and a craft blade to remove all the excess paper. Now, I tried to use my decoupage paper in a way that I would have enough paper to cover every slat on both sides of the crate, along with both of the ends, but it wasn't meant to be. So I had to pivot. I decided to use the limestone from Fusion Mineral Paint and paint the 2 middle slats on both sides with 1 coat of paint. And that left me with just enough paper to cover the top and the bottom slats on both sides of the crate. I tried a different method with this one. I tried to spritz my entire piece of paper first and then apply the liquid patina to the surface and lay the paper over it. I still prefer the starter strip method, and I used the starter strip method on all the other slats. For the 2 middle slats, I'm going to give it some age with the IOD Vintage Textures Crackle Stamp. I am applying the stone gray ink from IOD to the crate, and then I'm going over top of that with the Tim Holtz Distress Ink in tea dye to bring in some of the brown tones from the paper. While the ink dries, I will sand off the excess paper with my finger sander. Now, if you've been wanting a sander like this, I will have this linked in my affiliate link in the description box below. I have been loving this mercantile stamp by IOD lately. I cannot believe I've had this in my crafting supplies since it was released, and I am just now realizing how versatile it is. I have chosen the number 7, the 1879, and the quality grain stamps and place them on the crate where I want them. Then I'm going to take my thin mount by IOD and picking up all of the stamps at the same time, I'll flip them over and use the IOD black permanent ink and ink up my stamps. I made sure to line up the thin mount with the bottom slat so I knew exactly where to lay my stamps down onto my crate. I hold the stamps with one hand and gently press the stamps down to transfer the ink with my other hand so as not to shift my stamps. And once the ink is completely dry, I'll seal the entire crate inside and out with the DIY clear wax. And I'm going to follow that up with, wait for it, the DIY dark wax this time. Normally, I use the Howard's Chalk Teak Wax in dark because it's a lighter brown color than the DIY dark wax, but this time I want that blackish brown color of the DIY dark wax for this crate. Just look at the way the DIY dark wax makes this crate look like an aged barrel. I feel the differences in the colors of the different waxes can really make each piece unique and bring out that little something something. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this newly flipped storage crate. And also, which wax do you use and why? And maybe I will give it a try on one of my next projects. Now let's take a look at all three pieces together. I'm not sure I have a favorite this time. They all have a different feel to them and are quick and easy DIYs that take the ordinary to wow, and you can do it in an afternoon. You can find the DIY kit I used in today's video as well as many more DIY kits, frames, and other items over on our website at CnCDIYFactory.com. And if you want your very own Sonnet's Makers Box, I will have a link in the description box below that will allow you to skip the wait list and get your very own Makers Box shipped to your door every month. If I've inspired you, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of the creative fun we have coming your way. If you're looking for more fun creating, you can join me every Thursday night live at 6:30 Central on Facebook. We have a great time over there too. Until next time, keep practicing random acts of crafting. Bye for now.